Welcome Beyond the Deck, a production of AGORACOM in which we take the time to go through a company's PowerPoint presentation so shareholders can get a better idea of what's going on at their companies. And that's really important today because if you like spinouts, uplist to the NASDAQ, fantastic revenue model, then this is the story. Logiq Inc. trades in Canada and the US on the stock symbol LGIQ. More than just lip service, Logiq is an award-winning company that helps small, medium business compete against mega brands in e-commerce. More than just lip service. Last year for 2021, revenue was $37.3 million. But if you take out, if you discount back the spin out, it still had $23 million in revenue last year. This year, the company's projecting between $40 and $50 million in revenue guidance. So that's where we're going to go through the deck for existing shareholders because there's a lot going on. Brent, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks, George. That was a heck of an intro. Much appreciated.
Yeah, man, got it. So look, there are a lot of moving parts, right? There was a spin out last year. Now there's the agreement to uplist to the NASDAQ through the SPAC. And there's just so many moving parts. And the best part is revenue, customers, all of it. I think it'd be a great idea to have everyone visualize Logiq a little bit, kind of get their head around it as you prepare to move on to your next big step. So you've got control. Everyone can see the deck in front of you. Let's just kind of go through that together and let's have a convo about it.
Terrific. Thank you. Okay. With that, welcome everyone. We are Logiq. Our tagline is connecting brands to consumers, and I'll do my best to elaborate upon that through a brief presentation and do some Q&A with George. We have a standard disclaimer, which I will not read, but it is there on our website.
You can pause the screen at home, read it, and then unpause and keep going through the entire presentation.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so what we mean when we talk about connecting brands to consumers by simplifying online digital customer acquisition is very simply put, how do businesses find customers? They find them two ways: advertising and marketing. I know there's more than that, but the two primary ways online.
And walk-ins.
Yeah, in that too. Exactly.
Which is an effective strategy.
It is an effective strategy. That's true. So we do both advertising technology and marketing technology. The combination of those is ad tech and martech. What we've done over the past 2 years is we've grown through acquisitions, some which are accretive, the others represented technology acquisitions, which we needed in order to have an entire platform that I think most people like to say is an end-to-end platform or a one-stop shop. Regardless of the cheesiness of those descriptions, it's extremely important. You want a place that a small business can go to and find everything that they need, and that is what we've assembled.
Hey, Brett, before we go on to the market and all that, let me ask you a quick question. People think advertising is simple because they don't do it. So they figure, you're going to throw up an ad on Facebook and you'll throw up an ad on Google. How hard can it be? You and I know that the answer is very, very deep. Without going, without giving people a PhD in online digital marketing, explain to us what you would do for AGORACOM, let's say, that goes beyond our basic capabilities of, let me just go buy an ad on Facebook or Twitter and slap it up there.
Sure.
The solution, the comprehensive solution you create, which has led to your great success.
Sure. Wow, many ways to answer that, but I think the simplest is that if you use Facebook or Google to buy and place ads, both are extraordinarily effective because look at them. I mean, they're the two of the most esteemed enterprises in the world, but that's for the masses. And what you as a small business are most concerned about is the efficiency and the effectiveness of what you're spending money on, especially in advertising. You want to know, if I spend $1,000, am I going to get more than $1,000 in sales? Okay, if you're not, then you need to find a solution there, right? But it is a real problem and a real challenge for most all small businesses. How do
because they can't measure. Small, medium business don't know how to measure success, how to try different things. Everyone can slap up one ad on Facebook, but then after that, how do you measure the ROI? How do you optimize? How do you get it better? That's where you guys step in, right? And really help the small, medium business get that right.
That's right. And what we did is, you know, there's a bit of a copycat strategy involved in this, or let's call it a tactic. So from the tactical side, we took the approach, okay, the big players in the market, for example, the trade desk, in on this slide here, okay, what we're trying to illustrate is a problem and a solution. Okay, the problem that we illustrate here is that the top 500 brands in the US control most of the e-commerce market, 70%. Okay, actually, it's even more fragmented than that. If you look at Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and Apple, and then I think the other one is Target. So the top 5 e-commerce sites, they actually control over 50% of the entire e-commerce market. Okay, so as a small business, you look at that and go, well, so what? There's a big so what there. If they control that much of the e-commerce market, they also dominate the advertising market, so they can get the best ad placements. They can be the most efficient. And how do they do that? Well, they all have their own teams in-house, but those teams in-house use tools from outside. So if you look at a company like the Trade Desk, which has been phenomenally successful, people have made huge gains on that, and they are I think a $30 billion market cap company, if not larger. How do they get there? Well, you look at their platform and all the pieces of it that they've built and that they've acquired. So our short-term tactical approach was, okay, let's put together the same thing. Okay, but our strategy, our strategic approach is, who do we use that for? Well, we're certainly not going to compete with Trade Desk and try to go to Amazon or Walmart or their other customers who are also very large. I think the minimum price of entry, if you want to be a tier 1 customer for the Trade Desk, I think it's about 100 million a month in advertising spend. So, you know, it's a lot. And so that really precludes the other 2 million e-commerce companies out there that make up that 30% of the e-commerce market. So it doesn't leave you a lot. It leaves you Facebook and Google, and you advertise there and do okay. But if you want to do as well as the big brands, you have to have someone who has those tools. Now, that's us. But as I say that, you also recognize that there's a real challenge. How do you get to all those 2 million or a reasonable number of those 2 million e-commerce companies to get them to become clients? Well, you can hire thousands of salespeople or hundreds of salespeople, or you can go to mid-size ad agencies with a handful of salespeople and say, hey, look, you serve small and medium-sized businesses. If you have big customers that use the Trade Desk, they will know that the minimum price of entry is quite large, and that precludes your smaller companies from coming in. So basically what we're doing is we're providing, in simple terms, the same types of access that companies like the Trade Desk provide, but small and medium-sized businesses via their ad agencies that cater to them and already have them on board.
And devil's advocate, naturally, it's going to cost me a little bit more to use Logiq, I would think, than if I just did it on my own. So I've got to presume, given the success you've had, there's an ROI, or there's a real ROI for me to say, well, if I spend it on my own, I'll spend X. If I got to hire Logiq, I got to spend X plus, you know, 10, I'm just plus 10, 15%. but I'm assuming the results are just that much more superior that if GeorgeCom widgets uses Logiq, your efficiencies, your solutions, rather than me trying to go it alone at night, just making Facebook ads, right?
Actually, yeah, that's a great point. So we made an acquisition in March of a company named BattleBridge, and BattleBridge's core focus is on Facebook and Google ads for their clients. And so when we acquired them, it wasn't for that. It was because they have a pipeline. So their current customers, who are now ours, are doing programmatic advertising elsewhere. What is programmatic? It's the placements of advertisements onto websites outside of Facebook and Google. Okay, so they are usually paying about 20%, 30% of what they're spending on ads to providers of programmatic advertising access. With us, that's as simple as okay. So let me back up a bit. We now through BattleBridge also provide Facebook and Google advertising for two reasons. The first is very simple. It is because we can do that for them, and we can actually do it a little cheaper than they're currently doing it. So for that reason alone, maybe they save 2% to 5%. That's okay, right? That's an extra 2 to 5% that they save. But more importantly, if you give them access to programmatic advertising, and instead of them paying 20 to 30% more, we actually start out significantly less. And here's why. We'll start off at 5%, because it's not about the pricing, it's about the effectiveness of the campaign.
Yeah, that's what
really
we
want to do.
Down.
And let's use AGORACOM as an example. So right now, if I said to you, George, when you are looking for target customers, and you're going onto Facebook or Google, there'll be a target profile. What types of customers are you looking for? Male or female, age range, income level,
geography.
Yeah, geography. You can choose from these, right? But your competitors are also choosing from those. Okay, if you're choosing between the same thing that your closest competitor is choosing from, what does it come down to? It comes down to
who spends more
being advertised to. Who are they going to choose, right? Now, these same people that you are paying a certain amount for access to, it's also not only possible, it's an actuality that these same people that may be, let's say, males between the age of 35 and 45 that live in this zip code and have this income, the obvious ones, okay, maybe a large percentage of them drive Volvos, okay, or maybe a large percentage of them are pet owners, or maybe a large percent of them are American Express business card holders. Well, whatever those are called attributes. All right, the artificial intelligence platform that we have will also put together other commonalities of the demographic that you chose. Okay, if you say, all right, I'm not going to put down that I want males between the age of 35 to 45.
Yeah, I got it.
Zip code.
I want Volvo drivers.
Yes, exactly. You are going to pay less for those names, but you're getting the same names. But you won't know that unless you have someone to advise you of that. And it's not a manual process. We don't have people that go in and crunch the numbers and look at spreadsheets. It's an actual digital output. So we'll just say, well, George, actually, a broad percent of the customers that you already have in the target market that you want to approach happen to have these other attributes, and these other attributes cost a lot less for you to purchase. So what does that mean to you?
So instead of paying top dollar on Facebook to find investors, I can be on some other websites that look for Volvo drivers for my profile, and I'm paying way less.
Yeah.
So I'm a lot. I love that. And that's, I want to make sure people got that point across, because you're not just saying, all right, George, you don't have the time to set up a Google ad campaign, a Facebook ad, so we'll do it. because that's, you
That's
know,
right.
the moat, there's no moat there, right?
That's
But what
exactly
you're
right.
doing is saying, hey, George, you're looking for investors between these ages, this demographic, and you're advertising on Facebook, you're paying top dollar. Well, that demographic has this in common. So let's find this commonality
Mhm.
on other. What do I care if they're coming in from the Weather Channel, right?
Yeah, you don't
If they're
care.
coming from the Weather Channel, but they happen to be in my demographic and they see an ad about AGORACOM, they come in because that's their profile.
That's right.
I win, and you've just made me way more efficient.
That's right. And the other thing is we're about saving people time, because what do small business owners need more of? They need more time in their day. They don't, and you know how hard that is to get that, right? So this conversation you and I are having right now, we actually don't even have that conversation with the owners. All they see is, wow, our campaigns are cheaper now, but they're more effective. So
Nice.
I'm going to naturally spend more to get more. And you don't even have to have the conversation, because all you're getting, oh, wow, okay, well, I spent 10,000 last month, but I spent 12,000 before, but now I'm twice as effective. So now I'm just going to ramp it back up to 12,000 because I'm more effective.
Oh, that's great. You don't even have the conversation. Say, George, here's your budget. Yeah, okay, we'll take care of it for you. We'll show you the results next month, the month after, the month after that. And I'm just saying, I don't even have to know what you're going. You guys just applying a secret sauce and away you go.
That's right. That's right.
Love
And
it.
that's the ideal scenario, because if you don't have that at your fingertips, it's not all about price to you. It's about saving time and being more efficient. Because this conversation we're having, you don't have time to have these all day each day with your ad tech provider, right? Because that's time you could be spent doing what you're doing, interviewing your customers, having videos up, trying to find more subscribers. That's what you want. So,
Okay, you're hired. You got me.
okay, great.
I'm sold.
All right.
All right, that's awesome. Then go and go on. Yeah. So
Great.
now that's
Okay.
translating into these results.
Great.
It's not just you talking a big game, you're walking the walk.
Yeah, look, I'll stating the obvious, we are not the size of a trade desk.
No, of
Getting
course not.
there is a real task, but you don't have to pursue one of the industry leaders. You just have to get a meaningful percentage of what's already a big market, or even a small percentage of a huge market, which absolutely exists. And so we have on this slide the revenue growth from 2020, which is really when we started in terms of ad tech and martech under the Logiq roof. So that's why I have these numbers on there. So we've gone from 15.5 million. In 2021, we did right at 24 million. This year, what we are saying is we will exit the year on a run rate of about 40 to 50 million. On here, I just took the lower end of it, but I think that's
Still looks good.
It does. It's the type of growth that I think investors are both excited about and not concerned about. It's not, gosh, how are you guys gonna quadruple every year? I mean, that's a little bit unsustainable, but I think that these are both realistic and non-concerning to investors.
And unlike the major markets where ad budgets are getting slashed, you know, I'm a big Fortune 500 company. I'm Procter and Gamble. You know, if I just pull back 15% of my ad budget, that's billions of dollars. Small, medium business guys still got to do their thing. So I'm assuming is your target market slashing back as much right now as the general markets?
They're not slashing back. I think the reality is that people are a lot more cautious, and with caution comes being very selective about what they use in terms of services. And so it's helpful overall. It takes a little bit more work because there's hand-holding involved, but what we're seeing is the very real ability to sign people up and make them feel good about what they're doing, because what they're doing is spending money in hopes of getting more customers. If they feel good about it, they feel good about it for a reason, because it's working and it's effective, and that's what they've been after. So people will absolutely spend money to get more customers if it's succeeding.
And this is the basis for why you are now the subject of a SPAC deal that'll take you up to the NASDAQ. These numbers aren't, again, just you talking a big game. They've caught the attention of some pretty smart people. Yeah, let's look at these comps.
Okay, certainly. The big question we're being asked, George, and I'm sure our viewers are probably asking as well. Our market cap right now is 12 million. If you look at the announcement on September 9th of a $114 million offer from Aubrey, which is a NASDAQ listed SPAC, the question is, gosh, why would they offer 114 million when you're trading at 12? When you're trading on a junior market, I think that it's very realistic to say that the inefficiencies of that junior market compared to, say, a NASDAQ or an NYSE are fully on display. And so we've had a market cap as high as 250 million and as low as, I think we got down to 8 recently. If you look at our peers, and all of these peers on this slide are listed on senior exchanges, their median valuation and mean valuations are on an enterprise value to revenue for this year and next year significantly higher than ours. And so what did the team over at Aubrey do when evaluating what an offer should be to us? They took the NASDAQ and NYSE mean and median valuations and applied that to us and dug in and said, okay, what are you going to do this year realistically? And what do you forecast next year realistically? And then they came up with an offer of 114 million. Our investment banker Benchmark actually came up with a valuation for us based on this year of 110 million, which puts us right in there. For next year, we'd be about 180 million. And these valuations are actually down over year to date from where they were back in December. And I think people who have held any of these particular stocks have seen the same thing. So you've seen a retrenchment of, say, anywhere from 30% and as high as 80%, depending upon which stock. So,
but that explains why you're getting that $110 million valuation, because some may say, well, your share price is so low. But the fact of the matter is the SPAC is almost looking at, Logiq right now as if you're a startup, almost like a private startup, and they've got a little more flexibility to value you as they choose, as opposed to, because they know you're not going to sell at the NEO and OTCQX valuation, so they'd just be shooting themselves in the foot, right?
That's a big part of it. The other is if you look back at even some of the interviews you and I have had, and we've talked about our M&A strategy over this past year, we've been very aggressive on two fronts. We've been very aggressive on the pipeline. We were in active discussions with 72 companies over the course of 9 months. And then on the other hand, actually executing on acquisitions. We've made 5 in the past 2 years. Now, I'm not patting ourselves on the back. The big challenge that we've had on both of those is we've either been outbid or people have told us no because we are listed on the OTC market. Everything else is great. Strategic fit, the tech platform, the people we have on our team, our strategy, the combination of said target company and ours and what we would look like. But in the end, their board or their shareholders or a combination of the two would say, yeah, but you're on the OTC. And so being able to revisit that when we're on the NASDAQ, I think is going to look a lot different. It would have looked a lot different, but forgetting hindsight, we can say going forward, when we are on NASDAQ, will we pursue the same type of aggressive acquisition strategy? Yes.
Oh, they're going to knocking on your door.
Well, one would hope.
I've seen that happen before. George Com goes NASDAQ, and suddenly everybody else says, "Hey, George, you want to buy us because you're on NASDAQ?"
That's right.
Makes a huge difference.
That's right. I know beyond a doubt, because I've even gone back to some of the companies that we spoke with before, and I've asked the question, if we were on NASDAQ, where would we be? And they said our board would probably be fully in favor. So I think with that, given our ability to execute, to pursue and execute when we want to and when we need to, will get us there.
All right. Anything and next slide, or are we almost done? Oh, there we go.
Yep. Last slide.
And the best one, which
yes.
which makes it so great.
Yeah. So for our viewers, September 9th, we announced that we have signed a definitive merger agreement with Aubrey, ASPA on the NASDAQ for 114 million in Aubrey shares. That's one part. With that, what people should look for next is completion of our audit and then the subsequent filing of an S-4 filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And at that point, the SEC begins their review, and when they complete and we go effective, then it is up to our shareholders to vote. We anticipate all of this completing before year's end. So the other question is, okay, if I'm a shareholder, actually I am a shareholder, and so are you, George. We as shareholders, we will get shares of Aubrey. So as we go into Aubrey, our shareholders will receive shares and they will participate in the growth of that business. And we will also hold the shares that are currently Logiq. And what will we do with those? Okay.
We've never talked about that before. That's the first time we're talking about this, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. But I think it's important. It's paramount for our shareholders to know what we can do at that point. We can merge in another business, and it doesn't matter what type of business it is, whether it's oil and gas, or whether it's mining and minerals, or property, or tech, or it can be anything. If that anything is a real business, has a real value, and there are valuations that are looking, there are companies with valuations that are significant that are looking for alternatives to the IPO market.
And that's because the IPO market right now is all but frozen. You got the big investment banks. We all think, well, they can do business in any environment, but the fact of the matter is, no. If your market is down, your market is down. So investment banks right now can't do the traditional IPO. It's a lot harder to do the traditional IPOs. But here's GeorgeCom Industries. I've been going through the ramp up for the last 15 months. I want to go public. My bankers told me the window, literally, they're being told the window is shut for the next 3 to 6 months. Well, I've got to get a move on with getting public because I've got my obligation. So what's my next step? I look for a shell. I don't know if I call it a shell, but I look for a vehicle to then GeorgeCom into, and that'll be LGIQ.
Yes, it's as close. There are very few guarantees in the financial world, but it's as close to a guaranteed public listing as you can get. Merging into an existing public vehicle. And then if you qualify for an uplisting and you have an investment bank, then you can have that investment bank simultaneously uplist you, do a funding round, and off you go. You are newly minted on a senior exchange with funding in hand, and our current shareholders will own a percentage of that business, anywhere from a minimum of 10%. Let's just call it 10%, because you have to have that minimum of 10% to stay listed on the OTCQX, and then further uplist to a senior exchange. That's a huge win for our shareholders.
Wow! So there could be a second win coming for Logiq investors.
That's right.
Sometime in 2023.
That's right. And so the only question that remains is, oh, well, why would you do that? Very simple, because I'm a shareholder and I've been here for 8 years. And if it's going to benefit our shareholders, I'm going to benefit too. So why would I not?
I'm making notes of this so I can make sure I explain it to people. That's why you see me looking down here. But Brent, that's all. If everything goes as planned, not perfectly, you're saying here the merger will close before the end of 2022. Does that mean the uplisting also by the end of 2022, or does that mean sometime the first quarter of 2023?
I think realistically, for a reverse merger candidate to come in and then uplist, it would be Q1 of 2023, but that's not that far off. So we've got 2 major catalysts coming up that I believe will represent significantly higher value than where we're currently trading, which is what everyone hopes for and anticipates.
And I got to tell you also, let's not forget about the growth after that, right? This isn't necessarily for, okay, I can only speak for myself. This isn't a liquidity event for me. This isn't going to be, oh, we get these great, as soon as we're on the NASDAQ, I'm selling, I can make some money. For me, it's, okay, this is great. Now Brent and his team have the vehicle to really grow this company in the next couple of years the way we know you're capable of it. So for me, it's not the end of something, it's just the beginning of a next much bigger phase. You know, and I'm assuming a lot of people are thinking that way.
Actually, that's exactly what our entire team says, that this is the beginning for us, not the end by any stretch. It's not a liquidity event nor an exit. This is where we finally get to start going after the things that we've been pursuing for many years. And when we started years ago, the question was, well, where do you want to go in terms of the financial markets? And it's always been to at least get to a $500 million market cap. And why do you want to do that? Well, you do that because you start to move towards scale on the business, move towards scale on the market cap. And what do you do with that? Well, you can continue to grow through accretive acquisition and continue to deliver shareholder value. And delivering shareholder value is not as selfless as it sounds. There's a degree of selfishness to it as well. I've been here 8 years. My team has been here, you know, on the low end 2 years, most a good 6 years. For us, we're all shareholders. Every single one of our teammates is a shareholder, and so we are.
You guys want to make money off your stock, just like we do, just like Bill Gates did, just like Michael Dell did, just like all of them at the end of the day. And that's good for us because it means we know you guys have the same, obviously the same motivation.
That's exactly right.
Brent, thanks for joining us today, buddy. Any last words, anything we missed? I know went through the deck, so we covered all the big things, which is what we want to do, right? But any last words before we sign off?
No, I appreciate being on again and being given the opportunity to overview the business. If anyone wants to reach out to us, please do. We're always happy to respond when we have the ability to.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to say this just myself. You are very accessible, very transparent, because we've done a number of these kind of interviews. So clearly you respect your shareholders, you value shareholders, and you want to engage with them. Put your money where your mouth is. The number of these, we did this beyond the deck, and there's going to be more coming here in the last stretch run of 2022. I can't wait. But like Brent said, if you need to reach out, you know, or just get to the website, reach out. For those who are new to the story and you want to say, hey, I want to know more about this company, it's uplisted to the NASDAQ, get the company's profile page on AGORACOM, get the complete picture story there, and then hop over to the Logiq website. Because guys, if you believe in e-commerce, digital marketing, digital advertising, all of that, then you got to take a close look at Logiq. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks, George.
Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great AGORACOM small cap video.